Hey guys, Ben here with the After Work Network. Today we're doing another slice of life video. It's going to be graphic. So if you don't like seeing animals being processed, please turn this off now. We good? So what we're going to do today is show you on this video how easy it is to process a quail. This one in particular has had some very serious neck issues. It had kind of been born with a bit of a crick in its neck, and it has only gotten worse to the point where it can barely get up if it falls over. So instead of allowing it to suffer and continue to try and get worse, we are going to process the animal and then use it to eat. As far as equipment goes for processing the quails, compared to chickens or again, any other bird, it's actually really simple. 2 items. A really sharp pair of shears. This one is onyx coated and works very well. And a bucket. Now, I would highly recommend something a little bigger than this bucket of fries, but I wasn't about to bring my gut bucket into the house to show you guys. So, when we get outside here to process the quail, you'll see how we do it, but just a pair of shears and a bucket and maybe a box to bring the quail over to the processing area, but that shouldn't be too hard to find. Without any further ado, let's get outside and get that quail processed. Okay. So, one thing I didn't mention, I like to wear gloves when processing. You can use yard gloves, chore gloves. These in particular are vinyl gloves that we picked up at the local outlet store that usually has all sorts of extra random crap, and they work very well for processing. So definitely recommend protective wear because you never know with these sorts of things. And again, similar to what I've said before, I was not raised around this sort of rugged environment. So the need to have gloves and such seems to just be natural. Just want to say real quick, thank you, Lord, for this meal, for the animal that we are about to process and use. So, got her right here. Again, she's been suffering. We're going to end that suffering now. We got our quail. We got our shears. Here it goes. It's gonna flap, it's gonna make some movement, it's gonna kick, but you get the head off first, hold it tight, let it bleed out. It'll push a lot of blood out through the top. Yep, it's not fun, but it's part of the process. Part of the process. I really don't like this part. I'll be honest. It's the least favorite part. But if you want to be able to give your family food, these are the things you need to do. It's part of being a man, something I wasn't taught growing up. You need to do this, and you'll get better at it. All right, we've got no movement now, or at least seems to be. So once you've cut the head, it's obviously the first thing to cut. What I do next then is legs. Once they've completely stopped moving, you don't want to risk it. Give it a little shake. And then right at the part where the feathers start, clip, clip. And as you can see, the shears do quick work of it. Next are the wings. Clip. And clip. And here's the best part about quail versus chickens. I have processed several chickens with family and friends and homesteaders alike. And I tell you, plucking and getting rid of them is extremely hard. But with the quail, you just cut off the tail feathers, like that. You can just start pulling the skin, especially around the legs. It's on there extremely loose.
So like you start pulling around the legs and boom, you'll start to feel it tear. And you can kind of basically just pull the skin right off. It's extremely easy compared to chickens, or any other animal for that matter. As you can see, I'm getting the feathers and everything off right now. Get them off the legs first. Ta-da! You're just pulling all the skin off, and it's coming off real easy, because it should. Because again, they're quail. This is not a chicken. This is going to be infinitely easier. And once again, we find those lovely little tail feathers are always going to be the hardest to pull out. But again, compared to chickens, look at how much easier that is. And I already snipped off most of them earlier, as you can recall. So pull off those last little bits of feather and skin, get it looking clean, grab your shears, and then again, go up through the back. You're going to cut through the spine. And remember, it's hollow bone, so it's not going to be that difficult, but it's definitely something you need to do. I would get every last little bits of the cloaca and those nasty parts off. You know, it's just easier to deal with that way. And then up through the spine. You'll put it in through the cloaca and then just start cutting up through the spine. And this is how you're going to get rid of all the guts and all those lovely organ meats that we don't eat anymore. Cut right up through, up to the gizzard. And then, unlike chickens, which take a whole crew to process and get all those organs out, all this takes is pulling all this out. Oof, there's a lot of nonsense in there. Obviously she wasn't doing too hot. And there's a big old bladder, it looks like. Oof. Lots of organs in this one that aren't coming out as easily. The roosters I've processed, everything came out a lot easier. I don't know if it's a hen thing, because I haven't processed too many hens. But, yep, this is, you know, a little trickier than I was expecting, I'll be honest. You just pull out all those guts and loveliness. Try not to burst anything that might have, you know, unwanted material in your meat, like, you know, urine and shit. And then pull everything out, make sure there's no little bits of organs left behind or there. And then boom, it's going to need to go inside. It's going to need a little more cleaning, which we'll do here in a moment, but right there you got a quail that's basically ready to eat. And now once you've got the quail processed and ready to go, it's time to wash everything off. Once again, I'm getting a fresh pair of gloves just because, you know what? Why risk it? And especially with how many of them are around these days, may as well use them. I got a nice little sprayer attachment here. Biggest thing is you want to get inside the cavity where all the guts is and just rinse it all out real good. You definitely want to be getting every last little nasty bit out of there, and as well as all the feathers off of the animal as much as you can, obviously. Most of them will have already come off with the skin, so you won't have to worry about it, but just make sure that it's extremely thoroughly rinsed. And then I like to, one thing my wife always recommends, and I'm inclined to agree, is the brining of it afterwards. You know, once you've gotten all of the unsavory bits and guts and everything out, basically just put it in a light saltwater brine, so that way it can draw out the rest of the blood, and that way it stores better in the freezer and tastes better when you cook it up. So like I'm kind of just now, as you can see, pulling off all the fat from it, and like little bits here near the neck, because that's just not going to keep well, and making sure I just rinse it all off, because most of it is pretty easy to pull off. Again, it's an extremely easy animal to process, which is why I'm shocked not more homesteaders talk about them as a viable alternative to chickens. So just get it nice and rinsed out. Make sure there's no other little bits of organs you might need to pull. You know, a little bit of stuff out there. You know, make sure it is clean on the inside. No organ meat, nothing of the sort. Pull it all out, get it all out. Rinse it good. And then go with the brining. And then you'll basically have a quail that's ready to go. I'm going to put it here in a big 3-gallon freezer bag after I'm done with all this. Mostly because I, at the moment, don't have anything smaller. But obviously, with this size, a sandwich bag would work fine. Hell, even depending on the size of the quail, a snack bag might work just fine. So, pull out any last remaining bits of organs or lungs or whatever. You know, it's, again, not great, and you should try to get them all out in the gut bucket, but these things happen. And just keep rinsing, because you want to get all that blood out. You want to get all the nonsense out. You want to make sure anything that's hanging on, that shouldn't be hanging on, is off, you know, and take care of it. Toss it. So that's what I'm trying to do here with this little bit of black skin, and try not to rip off the leg at the same time. There we go. There we go. That's looking good. Yeah, so once you're all said and done with that, it should be looking fairly edible. Should be looking pretty dang good. I'm filling the pot right now for the brining. I'm putting the bird in. I'm getting my salt. And I'm sprinkling it all in the water. Again, it's a light brining. It doesn't need like a bunch. You're just using it as a way to do a combo, pull out the blood as well as disinfect the meat to a degree, because obviously salt is antibacterial and helps with all that sort of stuff. So just get a little bit of light salting in there, get it mixed around, make sure it fills up just enough to cover the whole bird. And there we are. That's pretty much all the way full. Little bit more salt just to make sure everything's good. Mix it all around. And boom. Leave it for about 10 minutes at least. If you want to go for an hour, great. But at the very least, 10 minutes of a brine right there. It's going to help it taste amazing. It's going to help the blood get out of there. And it's going to help disinfect and clean the bird. It's nothing but a win-win. Highly recommend it when processing.
So, in conclusion, as you can see, quail are super easy to process. They are not going to be yielding nearly as much as a chicken, obviously. But if you are someone who has lived a suburban lifestyle and even urban lifestyle for the majority, if not all of your life, don't go with chickens. It's a trap. Quail. You will find it so much easier and way less of a cost on feed for them. There are two drawbacks. You can't free range quail, which means then also, consequently, they can't forage for their food. So you will be supplying all of their food. But the flip side of that is that I spend for over almost 2 dozen quail $18 every 6 weeks on feed. If you want to do the math, that is, approximately $6 every, or not even $6, like $2 a week, something like that, $3 a week. If you can't afford that, you are doing something wrong. Anybody can raise quail, anybody can process quail, and anybody can enjoy the fruits of their labor, enjoying completely non-traumatized, non-vaccinated, medicated meat at home. Hopefully this has been an educational video for you. If you are considering homesteading and trying to be a bit more self-sufficient and independent from the current systems of supermarkets and all those sorts of things, and you are looking into getting chickens as an ability to get eggs, couple things to keep in mind. Chickens take over 6 months to start laying their eggs. I've had quail lay eggs as early as 5 weeks after hatching. Again, smaller eggs. Please don't dismiss quail. Look into them, especially the Coturnix. It is the oldest domesticated animal for a reason. Our ancestors used this heavily because they are delicious and their eggs are phenomenal. I've been Ben with the Afterwork Network. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Get the word out there. Help people become more self-sufficient. Help them become more actualized Americans. We need this now more than ever. It's going to take a lot of pressure off our society in general. Please start homesteading. Please start growing a garden. Please get some of your own meat going. It's not that hard. If I can do it, you sure can too. Don't give me excuses. Give me results. Thanks, guys.